Well, hello, folks. We're kind of happy that we've managed to make this happen on time. We've had a bit of a tech disaster the last few minutes, and it's why we're using a camera here that we wouldn't normally use. So this is our backup camera, but here we go.
Here.
So Shama, last week, I haven't told you, but we've had well over 2,000
Really?
views.
Oh, wow.
Since the
that's
show,
awesome.
well, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we've done all right. So I think that's good.
Well. Yeah.
So show number one. If you were one of the first guests of show number one, we recommend that you print out the show and you put it in a frame, and you can say that you were there as part of the first audience. So what have you been up to in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, so this time a week ago, I was at the World AI Summit in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And we were one of 5 startups who were selected to pitch to a very serious jury of investors. And then one of them afterwards came up and said, so what are you guys going to do now? I'm like, what are you on about? And I'm like, you won, didn't you? I was like, what? So we just found out yesterday that we did actually win. So that's great.
Well done.
Woo!
Fantastic. So there we go. NeuroCreate, you need to go along and check out NeuroCreate if you've not done that already. Just won the AI, well, the
World AI Summit.
Best AI company in the world. Right there. I was in Riga in Latvia last week.
Cool. Look at us all jet setting around.
So I was talking at a conference, but nothing to do with AI.
Okay. Sailboats.
No, I know nothing about sailboats. Which book was it? One of my many books. This one. This all right. It's actually called Friction, the book, but this is the Serbian version, Trenje. And 2 days ago, I got a delivery that my hardback book, which came out in 2018, How to Get Great Ideas, I got the paperback version. It's being released next month. The paperback version of this comes out, and I had to update it because there's bits in here where I talked about AI, and
is that already up to date?
And I had to talk about how there was the last few decades. There's been increasing creative collaboration, and it's been a trend, and I had to end with the introduction of generative artificial intelligence. That collaboration is moving beyond humans. We can only guess at the impact that will have on our thoughts and ideas.
So are you thinking AI collaborating with AI and taking us out of the picture altogether?
Possibly, but not at the moment. I'm thinking about humans collaborating with AI.
Okay.
So up until this point, it's been about humans collaborating with humans, but at this point, it's humans collaborating with AI, and that becomes an interesting thing. So this is out next month in all good Amazons.
You're definitely stimulating my stationery fetish, and I definitely want to have a copy of one of those. So.
There you go. In fact, in the comments, please tell me why you deserve one of those books, and the person who's got the best comment about why they deserve one of the paperback books, I will post you a pre-release version of a paperback book, and I'll even deface it because I'm that kind of idiot. Anyway, today we've got a phenomenal guest.
We do indeed.
Now, it's Tim. Tim and I have been chatting for over a year about how we fit AI into creative processes. And Tim's a graphic novelist, and as is typical with these things, because we had a last-minute dash there, I don't have his book here, but I've got his graphic history of hip hop book, which came out last year, which I absolutely love, and I've been going over it again the last week. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I had my hip hop playlist on today.
What were you listening to?
All sorts of stuff. I was trying to listen to some sort of early sort of 80s, 70s and 80s hip hop.
J Dilla, Tribe Called Quest.
Yes, Tribe Called Quest this morning.
Good. That's good. Yeah.
So and a bit Dr. Dre, NWA. So we're going to bring Tim in, and Tim, I'm going to play as an introduction to you. Here's Tim here. Way! We're going to play. Hopefully, this will work. If technology is working, I'm going to just sort of check to see if the headphone is maybe what we need. You might put that up here.
Can you guys hear me, by the way? You can hear me?
Hear you perfectly, sir. Hear you perfectly. Right, here we go. This is an introduction, hopefully that'll work, written by AI.
Oh no, they can't hear.
Oh, no one can hear. Oh my goodness!
No, I didn't. I thought you guys were prepping.
Oh, sorry. Oh well. None of you heard that. No, don't worry. And basically, there you go. You got.
It's cool.
It was you got a minute and a half of silence there while Sham and I heard everything. It was great.
It was amazing.
So did the audience hear it, or did
no, absolutely no one heard that apart from Shama and I. And this is the whole problem with technology. That
can I read it out?
Yes, you can.
Yay!
Here we go.
Okay,
here we go.
So just so you know, this is meant to be a sarcastic take. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to meet Tim Fielder, the man who took decapitated chickens, Afrofuturism and Pulp Fiction, and somehow turned them into a legitimate career. Hailing from the bustling art capital of, wait for it, Mississippi. He's been at it for 30 years, which apparently qualifies him for a career retrospective, because who wouldn't want to spend an afternoon looking at headless poultry and space-age superheroes, right? You may know him from his graphic novel, Matty's Rocket, which clearly outpaces NASA's space program. And, don't forget, he and his twin brother invented blogging, because just drawing wasn't enough for them. So, without further ado, give it up for the man single-handedly fighting the battle against Harlem's gentrification, Tim Fielder!
So Tim, I think we have to start off by saying, what on earth is glogging?
Oh yeah, glogging is a technique that myself. I have a twin brother, identical twin brother, whose name is Jim, and we created a technique where blogging is journalism, or digital writing with words. Vlogging is digital journalism with video. Glogging is digital journalism with graphics. And what we've done over the last 8 years is, at this point, we've probably interviewed over 200 or 300 people, where we will go out. My brother's a filmmaker and I'm a graphic designer or graphic artist, illustrator. And we interview people from all walks of life. We've been to the White House to do it. We've been all over the United States to interview people, people with big names, people you don't know. It's been pretty fantastic. And hopefully very soon we'll be finished with the almost unending production to have our first season of what we call the Diesel Funk Show, which showcases all that work we've done.
Oh, wow.
8 episodes, 30 minutes each.
Fantastic. And your brother, I mean, as an identical twin, he's like you, except he's also got a little fluffy kitten on the top of his head. He's got a beard on the top of his head.
He is not completely bald. Yes. And you have to shave this off you know all about that, right, Dave? You shave it off to make it look uniform, but that's like up here is where it has the issue, and back there. So
I mean, if it makes you feel
cut it off. Look like Telly Savalas or Lex Luthor, one or the other.
Yeah, I get you. But if it makes you guys feel any better, yesterday I found my 4th gray hair. I know it's hiding. It's hiding right there.
Oh, Shama,
I spent a full 10 minutes just staring at myself in the window. I was like, "What is going on? Is that really real?"
Shama, I have gray hair, and you have a lion's mane on top of your head, so I don't hear that. Anyway.
Okay, all right.
I spend my time looking for my 4th black hair after all the gray ones are done.
Exactly.
So, were you early to digital art? Because I mean, before AI, were you one of the first people to be using like styluses and screens and things? Where are you basically you're like a techie nerd when it comes to art?
Yes, yes. I can, I have my slideshow set up so I can go through all that when you guys want me to. But just to answer your question, I started drawing when I was 4 or 5 years old. I come from a family of artists. All my siblings are all visual artists. And I was the youngest. So, I always say it, maybe it's unfair, but as a youngest child, you don't really have much of a say in what happens for extracurricular activities. Everybody was into comics, so I drew comics, and I'm the person who stuck with it. Everyone else is a filmmaker or a musician or a fine artist. So I'm the guy who stuck with the graphic novel stuff. So I've been doing it for a while, and I did it analog for many, many years. I turned professional in the 80s, working for outfits like the Village Voice, doing editorial cartoons, freelance editorial cartoons, and illustration for early hip hop acts. Eventually segued to Marvel Comics, and did a unpublished Dr. Dre graphic novel, which one day hopefully will be published. And around the late 90s, the comic book industry imploded.
Yep.
And I, along with many other people who were in the industry at that time, had to make a decision as to how we were going to survive. So I chose to go into digital. So I went completely digital in 96, 97, specifically 97. And I have not been analog since. I rarely draw on paper. It's almost always on a tablet. I use the early, I think I still got that thing somewhere. My early Wacom, I forget what they used to call them, but it's where, it's be pre-Intuos, it's the gray ones.
Yeah.
I used back to that time, and I've been using it ever since. And now I have a 32-inch Cintiq here, which is feeling its age now. I have to see it because I can't see as well now. I'm an older age. And I use the iPad for mobile work. I have a 22-inch XP pen for when I'm on the road and I need to work on the road.
Yeah.
And it's worked out fairly well. No complaints.
So about just over a year ago, we started chatting on LinkedIn, and you were telling me how you were starting to use AI in your art, but the rest of the comics industry was like, no, this is the work of the devil. We want nothing to do with this.
Yes.
So is that still the case?
Yes. Yes. But I'll explain what's happening now. So 2 years ago, when generative AI hit, really 3 years ago when it hit, the first bout, as we all know, the Mid-Journey stuff was very abstract.
Yeah.
And wasn't really usable. And that's fine. But at the end of 2022, everything became usable.
Yeah.
And so I went through about 2 weeks worth of depression, thinking, oh God, because here is this technology that, despite what anyone says, oh, it's missing the human element is there. And it came close enough. It came close enough to make everybody nervous. And so for 2 weeks, I was in the fetal position. And then, like the time when we've had technological changes before, because as a digital artist, you're forced to confront change because that's the nature. You always have upgrades. You always have better software, better peripherals. And even just in the last 3 years, I had kind of reached a kind of change where I mean, since 1997, 98, I've been using 3D in my work, particularly heavy in 2000, 2001. I really began to use 3D as my backgrounds, and I would do what's called a paint over. It's a old technique that's heavily used in the video game and film industries, basically matte paintings. And so it really complemented my style, my drawing style. So I could get something that looked virtually like all my earlier work with dramatically less effort, but with no discernible drop in quality. It's still hard to do, but I was able to do it. Further, I think that, how should I say, it's when AI really hit, the industry started to pick it up, and people understandably got upset because all their work was scraped. Certain areas they would call it stolen, whatever it is, and that's unfortunate. It is not the first time such a thing has happened in terms of data or technology being utilized, from some other source. I mean, Steve Jobs didn't license Xerox PARC. He saw it and said, "Oh wow, it's a great idea," and put it into OS X, OS 10, whatever it is, iOS. And Henry Ford didn't create the car, but he got in on the game and he innovated with a technology that he did not create. He innovated by implementing the assembly line.
Yeah.
And that is what we are going through now. Now, let me say, for those analog artists or traditional artists who are watching this show, and I'm saying this for them, this might not necessarily be for the AI, folks. Let me say it to the traditional artists. It has nothing to do with fair. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with fair. It will never have anything to do with fair. Your job, if you are to exist in a world that has AI within it, is to learn how you will coexist with AI. So that means the idea of how I use AI, I have no interest in doing text prompting as my sole creation process. I think that's boring. That's not. Now, let me be very clear. Text prompting with AI is a legitimate thing. It's a legitimate thing, meaning it's something that people do. Lots of people do it. So there's no such thing as that going away. It's here. However, how my job, I feel, is to showcase how I would use AI within my already existing traditional toolkit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Could you tell us a bit more about your process? And you already had a process anyway in the way that you were creating art, and it's something that I guess has probably evolved since the 90s when you got into using digital.
Yes,
but
I can show you that.
Have you had to completely redefine your process, or has it slotted in?
Can I present my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. All right. It's going to be a mess, so just share the screen. We're going to go with the window. We're not going to go with Chrome or anything like that. We're going to go with the entire screen. There we go. Forgive all of the bookmarks and stuff on my screen, so you guys can see me.
Here we go.
Go to bridge. Here. All right, now let's go up here to the top of my presentation. All right, can you guys? Is it full screen on your end now?
Yeah.
We can see here. Yeah.
Okay, so traditional AI bridge. My job is to show if there's anything that I do within this technology that I feel that can be of service to the traditional arts community who has worked and taught from many of them from the point of their childhood, and that's all they know how to do. So I'm hoping I can do two things. I can show the traditional arts industry how to make the jump, how to make that bridge. That's why traditional to AI bridge. How to walk across that bridge, but still retain the integrity of your art. And for the AI community, I'm trying to hopefully show and provide some understanding that they will have a better idea of how not only how the AI industry or the tech industry can empathize with the traditional arts industry, but also to how to make tools that can actually assist traditional arts. So that's me. A lot of people saw this image here.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I did hurt myself after this. I'm done. No more.
I wanted to ask if that was utilizing AI, actually.
No, this was done in 2016. Even though AI has existed for many years in the gaming industry, no, that is human jump, photographer on the floor, hoping that I don't land on top of it. Now, let me go back to that. you see all that work. So I have decades of work that I've done, analog, even the color pages. That's from that Dr. Dre graphic novel I did. That's all painted in gouache. Never again. People Funk Studios, and as you can see here, I started in the 80s and the 2000s, the 2010s. So I've been working for a very, very long time in this industry. I'm an Afrofuturist. You might ask, what is Afrofuturism? Afrofuturism is when you take Black culture, technology, and social mores, and those things are blended together. Race politics, those things are blended together. And then you have a form that comes up as Afrofuturism. In my particular case, I utilize the form of comics.
Mm.
And I'm going to just go very quickly through Infinitum to preview. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to show that. So this right here is how I started when I was doing traditional illustration. Now, this image here is in color, but it actually started like that.
Mm.
This was done in 1988. So this is an image that was in conjunction with Public Enemy at that time. That's why it says bass, how low can you go? That's one of the lyrics from their songs.
Yeah.
And for my book, The Graphic History of Hip Hop, I actually utilized that image in it, but I colorized it.
Mm.
So I am a traditional artist. As you can see here, this is when I did work with the Black Rock Coalition. This is my project, Black Metropolis, for my, as Shama said, my career retrospective. And here are all of this is traditional art. This is all marker, a watercolor, and a whiteout. Back in the day, if you want to do highlights, you had to take whiteout for the brush that you would use to correct your mistypes.
Yeah.
This is my book, Infinitum, which came out in 2021. By this point, I had years before gone digital, but I went out of the comic industry from 2000 or so, 2000, 2001, all the way to 2014. And from there, I finally got back in the graphic novel in the comics industry, and I got a book deal with HarperCollins.
Nice.
And this was the graphic novel I did. And these are images from Infinitum. Now, this is all digital, done in the combination of Photoshop, Clip Studio Paint, and with certain elements were done with 3ds Max. So I use 3D in my work as well. But the vast majority of this stuff is all digital. So you can see I'm very much in the vein of heavy metal, Mobius, Jean Giraud. I grew up watching that stuff. I'm a disciple of different artists like Ralph McQuarrie and Ron Cobb. This is from Maddie's Rocket. So I'm just showing you these are the people who influenced me. And I'll just quickly go through all this stuff here. Now, all of this work that I'm zooming through, you can see here where the woman is standing up. This is Maddie. See those Quonset huts in the background? Those are 3D. This vehicle here is 3D. There.
Oh, wow.
Yes, but what I do is when I output the image, I do a paint over.
Yeah.
To make it look like an illustration, right? So it's the same. It's a boring. Even that tower there is 3D.
Is that a bit like rotoscoping, or am I getting that?
Matte painting.
Matte painting.
Matte painting. Yes. What you're doing is you're painting over 3D objects. Like this rocket here actually exists in the computer.
Ah.
But then I can go over it. I can paint it and add a depth using dodge and burn and highlights and edge lighting and stuff like that. So I get the perspective and the shapes for free. All right. So how do I work? How I've worked in the past is basically like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is the drawing. See that drawing there?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sketchy. Then I refine that drawing. So this is the traditional way I've been working.
Mm-hmm.
Then I turn it into a line art. And from there, I add hues or tones, gradients. And from there, I add hues, which is color, on top of that.
Yeah.
Right? From there, I begin to add highlights and shadow. And then you add in the background, and you add in what I call photographic or photographic phenomena, highlights, bloom lights. So this is how you make a drawing. And that's not realistic at all. But what it allows me to do is to be able to take even the most basic illustration and apply photographic phenomena to that illustration.
Mm-hmm.
So this image here started from that. See?
Yep.
So I literally took that image, took it into Photoshop. I mean, it was already in Photoshop, and I just did my paint over it. Added gradients and shadows and things like that. And just like you would for a film or a video game. So if you look at this image, I don't know if this is coming back here. This is how a time lapse of my painting process. So I'm a portrait artist as well. So I'm showing this so that the folks who are watching this understand that although I'm not using analog media, I am still having to paint and to draw. Got it?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions about that before I move to the next thing here?
Any questions, people out there?
No, keep going, Tim. Keep going.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So next thing though. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I should say anything there. All right. So I'm doing an adaptation of W.B. Du Bois's The Comet. And I use the same technique I showed you, but I'm utilizing AI to a certain extent within it.
Mm.
So that's a sketch, right? Same regular sketch that I normally do. From here, I refine that drawing. That's the line art I wanted, right? And from there, I use this drawing as an image prompt.
Got it.
Let me repeat that again for people who are in the audience. I'm not starting with a text prompt. I always start with my drawing, not someone else's drawing, my drawing as an image prompt.
Quick question.
Yes.
Did you make the line art, or are you also utilizing something to?
Nope. Wacom tablet, drawing, sketch it out, draw it.
Got
the same technique I've been using for the last 25 years, digitally. If it was the process I've been using since I was a child, be drawing with pencil on paper. So this is straight drawing.
Got it.
Once that's employed or deployed into the software, right? I then use with that image. I use a software called Doodle AI. With my good buddy Vladimir Palacio. And what I would do, you can see here, I don't know if you guys can see the screen. See how these images, these are my drawings, and then it goes there. See?
Yeah.
Now, I used Doodle AI for a while, for about a year, until since the beginning of this year, I moved over to VizCom. And VizCom has created some incredible piece of software that I think has really changed the game. But anyway, let's go back here. I'm going to go back to Bridge here. Go back to Bridge. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Whoop, close that. Yep, of course. Quit that guy. Sorry, I opened up the wrong bridge. All right, here we go. Go back there. So this is the image prompt was, black African American male, mid-30s, image, backlit, white shirt, dark tie, dark suspenders. And that's what it gave me. Now, how you see what it's doing? What it did was it used edge detection to follow the lines in my drawing and then fill in this rendering. This is the part that is the killer. This is the part that gives most artists high blood pressure or puts them in their grave at an early time, which I hope won't happen to me, right? Now, once I get to this is the only AI element I use.
Okay.
I then output this into Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint, and I composite it. You see right here the lines? That's my drawing.
Yeah.
So now I begin to paint over it and add in highlights and bloom all of the photographic phenomena that you would see in real life that I applied by hand through illustration. I apply to that composited rendering. And from there, I do my post-processing, and there we go. All right? This can also extend to other things. So, for example, here's an illustration we just did for the UN about 3 weeks ago. The UN had their Summit of the Future, And myself and my buddy Ronaldo Anderson from Temple University, we created a sort of thing called quantum. And quantum is doing futures or forecast projections for what might happen in the future. In this particular case here, I wanted to see what would it look like in the future in a world where the land is overrun by water. Would people just leave that land, or would they build elements and buildings that actually survive to rise with the water? All right. Now, this is a sketch. This is a very, very, very loose sketch, right? That loose sketch becomes this. Because I'm able to import that as my image prompt into the software, specifically VizCom. And VizCom gives me back a rendering, which in this particular case here, when we publish this book next year, I'm probably going to go back and tighten this drawing up. But that's what I'm doing. I'm using it as my drawing is the image prompt. There is a portion in VizCom, which hopefully I'll have a moment to show you how I use it, where I write a text prompt. It then gives me an element, and then I'm able to do my normal paint over technique in Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop. So this image here, this is another one. So this image here was back when before there was image prompting. I started here, but that image eventually became this.
Wow.
And this is all AI utilizing my drawing.
So yeah, Tim, I'd love to see how you put an image in and put.
I can do it.
Yeah, please.
All right. So let me just very quickly get through this, so you all see what's happening. See?
Yeah. Wow. And what software are you using to do this?
VizCom. It's Jordan Taylor. This cat is the CEO or co-founder of that group, and it's primarily used for industrial designers. Now, I'm glad you mentioned what VizCom does. VizCom is used for industrial designers.
That's cool.
But it's not designed to mimic another artist's style. It's designed to mimic 3D rendering.
Yeah.
Now, while I go to the last of this, I'll just say there are 3 rules that I use as a traditional artist utilizing AI. 1, never use another artist's name in your prompts. That is forbidden. You can't use it.
Yep.
Never use another artist's name, whether that be a film artist, a comic book artist, a fantasy illustrator. It is forbidden for me. That is how I am able to somewhat resolve the ethical dilemma, is I will never use another artist's name in the work, because I want the work to look like my work.
Obviously. Yes, absolutely.
Right? Now, I'm sorry. I think, okay, there we go. All right. Now, I'm going to put up, thank you. Now we'll go to, you all want me to do a little examples here now?
Yeah.
Yeah, show us how it works. That'd be great.
How are we doing on time? I don't know how we're doing on time. How we doing on
You
time?
just keep going. You keep going. We'll tell you when to rein it in.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So we're good. And by the way, if I haven't said it before, thank you guys so much. Oh, by the way, very quickly, this is my book with the graphic history of hip hop, Walter Grayson and Tim Fielder. It's out. Buy it. It'll be at New York Comic Con starting tomorrow.
And one of the cute things that I only discovered today is that there's a little flick book action in the bottom right corner. So there's actually a break dancer.
That's so cool.
So you all remember that for both? Yes. So that is what that is. So it deals with hip hop history all the way from 1964 to 2006. It will presently late on books 2 and 3, but it's either that or I'm gonna finish it however I can, or it's gonna be a rough road for me. And so this is the book. I did over 250 operators in the graphic novel space. Okay, with that, let me shut this down here. Now we're gonna go to Clip Studio Paint. We'll start here. I'll go new, By the way, any questions anyone has that they want to
yeah, we do. We've got.
What do you got? Any questions?
I'd like to ask a brain question.
Okay.
In a way, I really like how you've been emphasizing that you're using image prompts.
Yes.
Because to me, it feels like that's the modality, like the actual kind of the drawing, the actual utilizing your hands, the way that it integrates with your eyes, like all of that kind of processing. That's what it makes the art for you. Would you like agree in terms of that kind of crafting? And hence, it's not about like texting. It's really about how you can kind of create, retain that kind of format for yourself.
Well, I think the way you put it is much more noble. I have a large enough ego that I don't want my work to look like somebody else's work. That's more important. I want my work to be my work. I've worked. This is the thing I'm hoping that traditional artists who are watching now, or if anyone is going to watch, when this is replayed, is that it is important that they understand that this technology isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. It is our job to effectively learn how to use it for our purposes, right? If we can do that, if we can allow ourselves to grow and to be open and to adjust to the world that if we don't adjust to it, may actually decide, hey, we don't want anything to do with this. We don't want anything to do with this. We want to create a world where there's no need for artists, which is what the fear is, right? And I am submitting that this technology, and there are elements in the technology that can allow many artists to essentially, effectively create an entirely new medium. I'll explain to you what I mean. So, for example, there was a period definitely in the late, early noughts where the iPad had come out and people were predicting, the iPhone and iPad had come out, tablets, and people were predicting, even myself, that traditional print would die, right? Mm. And it certainly had been hit. It's been hit. But in comics, the idea was, it's going to totally destroy the traditional comic book industry. Well, guess what happened? It turns out that people like physical books.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They love physical books. They like the craft of it. And so, although digital comics are there, and let's be frank, no one wants to spend $1,000 to buy a tablet just to read a comic book. Instead, people buy books. Mm-hmm. So the traditional comic book industry, Marvel, DC, they're having their kind of contraction because now they have to share the space with webtoons and places like that. Mm. But the reality is that traditional comics are always going to be here. It's our job to showcase and to utilize AI to produce our work, to take the severe pain that an artist pays to produce their work, to reduce the impact of the most difficult part of it, which is the rendering.
Yeah.
You can do a line drawing. The problem is, how do you go from a line drawing to a fully painted image? That is the part that takes hours.
Right. Let's take us there, Tim. We'll need to wrap up in a few minutes. So take us there. Let's see.
I was a college professor for a while, so I was it's like, he taught for many years. That's what's
going. Well, putting questions as you're doing. What are your rules number 2 and 3?
All right. So rule 1 is never use another artist's work.
Yeah.
Rule 2 is to always start with a image prompt.
Okay.
Never use anything other than an image prompt. Image prompts are what you're going for.
Does that link into somebody else's question is going, like, how do you provide the AI with a custom instruction about you and your style?
All right. So in that particular case, I am not a programmer, but I've been talking with these guys, Manu and Sahil. I hope you guys are watching this. I would love to see a person, a programmer, or let me just put it this way: the first programmer to produce a drag and drop custom model where you can take all of your photographs that you've taken over the years with your crappy iPhone and your drawings that are loaded into your folders. You can literally drag and drop it into a folder and create your own custom model for AI to use. That person will have changed the game.
And also, you're drawing it yourself, not
Exactly.
Also influences what comes out, right? As your image comes.
Now, I was kind of going off there a little bit with the kind of abstraction there, but we don't want that happening. So here's my drawing. Pretty simple, right?
Yep.
Pretty simple. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be finishing about 5 minutes. Do we have 5 minutes?
Yeah, we do. Okay. Enough to also tell us number 3.
Number 3, you still have to paint. You still have to draw. You still have to draw. You should not allow AI. Your AI is only one step in the game.
So it's that one of the things when it comes to when I'm talking to people about how they incorporate AI into what they do, I tell them that the final product should have very little AI in it at all. Yes. It has to be filtered through a human brain and go through human judgment and human crafting to get to the end product. Is that kind of your attitude as well, that when you're painting over it, you want to have no trace of the AI part of the process?
Well, what I say is that I don't want it to look like AI was used.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, because when I was drawing before I went digital, there were people who would go like, "Oh, wow, what did you use for this? And, what medium is that?" And I would say, "Oh, that's digital." And they were like, "Wow, it doesn't look like it." I'm like, "That's the point. I want it to look like my drawing." Now, I don't know who this guy is. He looks like he's a kind of weird guy. So we got this here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, let's save this. We'll do a save as. We're going to call this, what's the name of this podcast?
Silicon Synapse Show.
Silicon Dude. I'm going to save that to my desktop. And I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Why not? Yeah. Okay. Now, I'm now going to go here to VizCom. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are there other apps that are doing this kind of thing now? I think Leonardo might allow this kind of thing as well.
There are other programs out there that use image prompting. The reason why I use VizCom is because it appears, and they can correct me if I'm wrong, VizCom specifically, it has a set of renderers that is designed to mimic industrial design.
Okay.
So you're getting a base level of shadows, highlights, colors that are based on how the physical, automotive, or airplane or industrial design industry designs products. So it allows you to immediately be able to superimpose those elements into your line drawing.
But that's also by getting those elements, that means that you're not having someone else's style imposed on top of your style, which is what Leonardo would do.
Yes.
Right. And also it's your preference to use this 3D sort of thing to your, because Photoshop, correct me if I'm wrong, also is now bringing in image prompting, right?
Yes.
Within Adobe itself.
Yes, they have to. I've been looking at the work Chris Castanova is doing. It's pretty exciting. I'm hoping I can get back to it. I use Photoshop all the time, and maybe one day I'll be able to do it. But I'm constantly using different software. Okay, so anyway, here we go. We got our drawing in there, right?
Okay.
Now, VizCom does have basic drawing tools. However, and I will at times use it, but it just makes so much more sense for me to use Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio Paint is a superior program. All right. So now, the interesting thing about it is VizCom is based upon my drawing, generating its own prompt. I didn't write this.
Got it. Wait, can you read it out? Because we can't see it.
Person wearing sunglasses and a high collar jacket with tousled hair and a prominent nose.
Wow.
I didn't write that.
That's interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Now, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Neon, a high tech neon street in the rain. Okay, let's see. Yes. I'm sorry. I have horrible eyesight here.
Get that Blade Runner feel in there. Neon and rain.
Yeah, right.
Okay, I'm going to say. Oh, that is a dope title, by the way. The person walks down a high-tech street neon street. Oh, okay, bye. Now, we have different kind of renders. You have VisCom General, Surface Sculpt, Volume Render, CyberCell. I tend not to use most of these. I will occasionally use CyberCell, but this guy here, VisCom General, oh my God. Watch this. I have, because I am paying for this, I generate 4 versions, and
wow. So the great thing is that when it sort of pre-populates the prompt, it's a way of proving to you that it has understood what you're looking for as well.
Yes. All right, now watch this. I'm saying, hold on. I'm saying hide here. Okay. Whoops. Let's go back here. Sorry about that. Now, I don't like that.
Got it.
I don't like that at all. That's horrible. I definitely don't like that. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to add this, right? And now we're going to refine this image. Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to go here. Now I'm going to create a new thingy here. And let's see. I could go here. Watch this. We're going to go here. I'm going to move this to the top. And I'm going to, will it allow me to do it? There we go. I want to go to multiply. Look at that. Wow. Now I'm going to drag this above, right? Right. That could, well, let's leave it below. What the hell? All right, now I'm going to go here. Now what I'm going to do is I can physically take this brush here, and this brush, the pen tool right now, I'll go here, and I'll click right there. So I've done it basically gives me a dropper. See? Now I can go in. Let me move this over a little bit here. Oops.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yep. So now I can go in. Let's do this. You know what? I love that white hair. That white hair is kind of cool, but let me give it a little darker texture right on. Right? So now I can go in. See what's happening? So what am I doing? Drawing.
See that?
I'm painting. That's what I'm doing. I'm drawing and I'm painting. So I'm using the tools for what it's good at, right? Now, I even like the white here. You know what? I think that background could be so much better. How about this? Let's say the street does that. Yeah, that's cool. And let's say here we have like a weird building there. And we'll put a, and I'm sorry, I'm almost done, guys. Go here, 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 here. Let's see. And I could have generated a different background, but let's just say we're gonna do this here. All right. So what I'm doing now is I am adding texture to the background, and now I'll do this last thing here, there, and then I'll go here. And this part here, I will do this. Watch what I do. I'm sorry, my tablet has some dead pixels on it, so I have to move the screen over just a little bit when I do that. Now, let's say he walks down a high-tech hallway.
Interesting.
So let's see if this will change it. I'm going to turn this off. Whoops. We're going to go here, right there. Let's see. Turn that on. Okay. Guess we'll turn it back on. Whatever. I'm going to generate. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to see.
Okay. So do you find that this kind of
Oh, wow. Damn.
Slightly random element that it can bring in is useful for your creativity.
Absolutely. It's like utilizing watercolor. You don't control the water. The water goes where it wants due to gravity and friction and forces. And from there, I then have the ability to either download the image as a single image, or I can go here. Let's go back to render. And I can go here, if I'm remembering, we can go to File, Export, PSD. So we'll actually export a Photoshop file. All right, let me go here and drag, hang on, guys. By the way, that drawing is not my favorite drawing. But so we're going to go Silicon Dude. So now that's opening up in Photoshop. Let's see if it works.
So it's really interesting to see your entire workflow.
Thank you. Thank you. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but what I'm fascinated here is there's a lot of designers and art directors that I've been talking to about a workflow and a process. And one of the issues that they have most of all is they can't get the exact image they're looking for. They're looking to create precise images.
Yes. But you know why that's happening?
It's because they're using text prompts.
Right. They're not drawing. That's not drawing. That's why I wanted desperately to come on here and to be a part of the show, because I felt it was important that traditional artists who see this can see, oh, they actually can't replace me. I can actually, just as AI can steal my work, I can now steal what AI is good at.
Yeah.
For my work. So that rendering part, see that background there? I don't think that's the greatest background. But I will say this. To do this background like that would take hours. Here, it's automatically rendered. Okay? So with that, this is not the greatest drawing for me. I would much rather have done something a little bit more polished. But this is what I'm talking about. I'm saying that and I'll stop sharing here, actually. Let me go back here. The key is that what it will do, it will allow me to dramatically reduce the workload.
Yeah.
That's the key for traditional artists. You want to be able to reduce the workload. You want to be able to use AI to augment, super augment.
So there is like the two sides of that. I think if you look at a continuum, on one side you've got making things faster and cheaper, and then on the other side of it you've got enhancing my skills to help me reach higher.
Yes.
Between those two, what do you think is really what AI is helping you with? Which one of those?
Both.
Okay.
It's helping to do both, but ultimately all those things result in me being able to do work, as long as I take my blood pressure pills, do work faster and more efficiently with no discernible drop in quality.
And I had like another question within that. Like, has it like clearly you've thought about what element you want to retain doing your part in, and what element you want to bring AI into it. Like, how did you go about that kind of process? And also, has it actually changed maybe? And this is one of the questions actually in the comments. Has it actually changed, your actual artistic concepts in and of themselves?
Yes. When I first started, when I made the decision in late 2022, and I dived all the way in to learn AI and how to utilize it. Before image prompting came along, it was really quite difficult to utilize, because it was a lot of Photoshop, a lot of photo bashing, which photo bashing is, I don't knock photo bashing. Photo bashing is awesome. We wouldn't have the video games we have or the films we have now without it. However, although you can have that's tedious. If I can do my drawing and apply images to it, then I'm liberated. So I guess if you want, I can show you one thing. I don't know if I can show it to you, but let's see. Let me see if I can't show it to you, I can show it to you.
Well, Tim, let's talk a little bit more about this. So with this, the interesting thing is that the AI, for most people, when they're trying to get AI involved in their art and in their design,
Yes.
it's like rolling dice. So it's gambling, and so the AI is directing people.
Right.
It's directing the designers in a direction that they wouldn't normally go in.
Yes.
Whereas with you were directing the AI
Yes.
in the direction.
Yes.
And that to me is something that I think is the big learning here, is that most people are doing it wrong, and they're not enjoying the process because they're losing control.
I will say this: they are not doing it wrong. They just don't know, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna do this one last thing, and I think we can close it out here because
All right.
I'm gonna present one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna share the screen, and this time we're going to share window. We're gonna share this guy. All right, looks familiar, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna turn all the layers off. Okay, now we're going to go from the bottom. So I input in this image. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. Oh, my eyes are horrible. Right there, that. Right, that's drawn. That's a regular drawing. Right. From there, I put in. Where's that doggone thingy? Where is it? That's in Photoshop, because Photoshop has a 3D utility in it.
Got it.
Once I did that, I imported this in to Doodle AI, and it gave me back this.
Ooh. Wow.
That was the only step of AI I used. Right? Then I had to go in, add bricks, add definition to the title, bricks on the back, line drawings, elements, the title edges, windows, shadows.
Mixed media, isn't it?
Windows, yes.
Yeah.
Shadows. The main windows on the side of the building. Sun glow.
And that's all Photoshop, is it?
It's all Photoshop. Streaks.
Ooh, look at that.
Smoke, smog on the bottom. Fog. Those are drawings of the dancers that I had on the cover. Highlights on the buildings. These are all drawn, illustrated. Titles for Walter and my name. I put highlights on this so the title would stand out better. More highlights to add a definition. Highlights on the dancers so they would stand out. Fog on the bottom. Sedgwick Avenue to make it adhere to hip hop history. My signature, which you can't see, and watch this last tone.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, lift it.
Yeah.
And that is how you use AI with traditional art.
So do you think that do you think you might discover other ways that AI could help you with what you do? And are you open to that?
Yes, there's a guy, I believe, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Martin Nebelong. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, but he uses VR and uses dreams. And I had a VR headset, but my nephew got on my nerves wanting it so much, so I gave it to him for his birthday. Anyway,
so that's what you have to do. You just have to annoy someone enough.
Right.
Win.
Right. But it turns out VizCom does 3D.
Got it. 3D?
That is the next step that I'm going to learn with VizCom, how to create a 3D environment or a 3D object. So I don't actually have to I'll draw it. It'll create a 3D element from that drawing. I can refine it. And once I get that, I can rotate it in any position I want, just like I do in Unreal.
Yes. Cool. I got
So the tools are there. Now, the beauty, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if they're going to light me up after this, like, yo, he's using AI. I don't know. But I think the thing that is most important to know is that I have utilized this tool and I did not use intently anyone else's work. I use my work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the thing. So I can, at least to the extent that I can, even with the ethical issues that obviously exist, retain my own integrity, retain my own style, and produce my work much faster.
Brilliant. Tim, that is probably a great place for us to wrap this up and to say thank you massively for this. That's been brilliant. And I want to apologize to everyone for the bad technical situation we have here.
Okay, don't apologize, man. It was good. This is a family show, man. It ain't like that. It's not like that.
But Tim, this is great, and I think there's more for us to talk about at some point. I would love to talk about like AI and embedded bias and racism within the system and all that kind of stuff to make sure that we've got full equality and representation within AI, which is something that I personally have concerns about. But this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone who's been giving us questions. Sorry we've not been able to answer them all.
Should I answer those questions later? Should I answer them later?
But
say that again, Tim.
Should I answer them later?
You can, of course, like in the comments and everything.
Okay, I don't know where the questions are, so let me know where they are and I'll answer them.
Absolutely, we're trying to make this a living show. Like
Yes.
you know, we're gonna use our notebook LM to try and.
We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go.
So, final thing. Ask me back anytime.
Fantastic.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much again, Tim.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. It's time for us to draw this to a close and keep things going in the chat. We'll be alive in the chat.
Exactly.
See you next time. Bye. Okay.